Hello YouTube, my name is Nero. Today we have some Friday the 13th. The game is finally out and I'm finally making a video on the game itself. What is Friday the 13th for those that do not know? Well, it's actually a game that was made based off of the very popular slasher movie series Friday the 13th. It was actually made by fans for fans. It is the result of a very successful Kickstarter campaign and it was recently released for the Xbox One, the PlayStation 4, and the PC. This video is going to be discussing the game as a whole, its problems, its pros, its cons, basically everything. So hopefully you guys will sit back, relax, and enjoy while we discuss Friday the 13th, the game. Let's start things off here with what is this game exactly for those that are unaware. So like I said, it's based off of the very popular Friday the 13th movie series. It's an asymmetrical game where one person in your lobby is going to be playing as Jason, and Jason of course is the big serial killer here at Camp Crystal Lake. He has a number of abilities, and in fact there are a number of different Jasons in the game that you can play as. By leveling up, you unlock different Jasons, each of which have their own pros and cons, their own benefits and downsides based off of which Jason you are actually playing, and the pros and cons are based off of the movie itself. So if you play as Jason Part 3 from Friday the 13th Part 3, you can actually sprint, whereas if you play as Jason from Part 6, he doesn't sprint in Part 6. He's one of those very slow-moving stalker types in that movie, and so as a result, he can't sprint. It's a very interesting concept. There's also a full progression system where you can unlock different things for Jason as well as the counselors. So Jason's goal is to kill all the counselors within a given match. The counselors, if you get spawned in as one of them, their goal is to escape Camp Crystal Lake. Keep in mind, at the time of this video going up, there are roughly 3 different Camp Crystal Lake maps based off of the early Friday the 13th movies. You escape in a number of different ways. You can call Tommy Jarvis to help you out, who can actually help you kill Jason through a number of kind of confusing steps that involve a lot of teamwork. You can also rebuild the car and escape that way. I think there are 2 different cars in each map, and you can also rebuild the boat and drive away on that as well. So that's how you escape. The counselors, you try to escape. Jason tries to kill people. Counselors try to find things all throughout the entirety of the map, like, I don't know, stuff, parts to build, arming themselves with machetes and stuff like that, using things like firecrackers to distract Jason or stun him temporarily so they can run away. It's a very interesting concept for a game, honestly. The downside is the game itself has been pretty rough around the edges in terms of a release. So it came out for the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC. I can't speak for the PS4 or PC, but Xbox One has been downright atrocious so far. So much so that the release of the game was actually an early build of the game. Like, it released for all the platforms on the same day. Well, pretty much. I think it actually came out for Xbox first, but the servers were down the entire time. Of all the platforms the game released for, the Xbox One had an earlier build of Friday the 13th, and as a result, we didn't have access to as many features as other people who were actually playing Friday the 13th on different platforms, which was a big issue. Another issue is the servers. The servers for Xbox One, at least, haven't really worked all that much. They're more stable now, but especially around launch, which was like a week or so ago, man, it was really hard to find a match. It would be a situation where you would spend 10 minutes getting into a lobby, 5 minutes waiting for that lobby to fill up just to start the game and have the host disconnect. For those that don't know, we don't run off of purely dedicated servers. It's mostly peer-to-peer. You get connected to a server and then a host is selected, and if that host disconnects, well, game's over, which is really, really frustrating. There are a number of issues with the game. It's, man, I mean, I don't want to be too negative here, but the game itself is pretty unplayable most of the time. Like, this is my playtime in Friday the 13th, right? You can see this via your achievements, and here's a fun fact. Like, as you guys saw, I'm like 8 minutes into my queue for quick match. Going to your achievements cancels your queue for quick match and makes you start over, which is frustrating. But I have like just under 6 hours played, about 5.5 hours. I would say I've completed maybe 4 or 5 matches of Friday the 13th. And it's not as if the game itself has very long matches. On average, they are anywhere from 7 to 15 minutes at most, maybe something along those lines, but most of them just disconnect, or you spend a ton of time searching for a match. And I think the game actually counts you searching for a match as part of your playtime. And that kind of goes to show like how much time, and it sounds so bad because I really do feel for these guys, but how much time I've wasted playing this game. Playing, I use loosely. I'm mostly like browsing Reddit and stuff like that, waiting to actually find a match. Once you are actually in, the game itself is incredible. Like, if you're a fan of the Friday the 13th series, you are going to enjoy this game once it's actually fixed and things are actually going along smoothly, right? So basically, when you're Jason, you're going around Camp Crystal Lake. If you are a fan of the movies, man, it's so cool to see Camp Crystal Lake come to life. And remember, this wasn't made by like a big AAA studio or anything like that. This was made by a small team of I think maybe 12 people or something like that. And they funded it via Kickstarter. It's real grassroots movement, and it was made by fans for fans, which is very evident while you're playing. If you're a fan of the series and you're walking through Camp Crystal Lake, all the attention to detail, all the little Easter eggs, like, it is a fantastic world that they have actually put together here. And the game itself is legitimately creepy with the music and how it was all designed. Like, if you're a counselor, you never know where Jason is, really. Unless he's, like, attacking somebody, he'll show up as, like, a dot on your mini-map. But most of the time, you don't know where Jason is. So the music that's happening in the background, it's like, is he around? I mean, the music's getting sharper. Is Jason near me? Like, it's freaking scary at times, right? It's a really cool and immersive world that they put you in. The game itself, at a fundamental level, is very good. But it's most of the problems that kind of get in the way of that. Like, for example, and just for the sake of fairness, I do need to show this stuff in the video. We were going to escape as the counselors. We rebuilt the boat. We were ready to go. It was so awesome. I'm like, we're about to escape Jason. Well, here's me trying to get into the boat. That's a bit of an issue. And then once you're actually in the boat, there's no clear, like, indicator of how you control the boat. The entire time, I'm sitting there thinking, that guy there on the dock, I'm just going to get rid of him. We're just going to go on without him if we have to. Jason shows up behind us, and I'm sitting there thinking, okay, well, let's get out of here. The one button on my screen is the button to get out of the boat. So I get out of the boat, then Jason's there, then Jason kind of glitches out, and he's just, like, standing there, and it's all goofy, and just, it doesn't end up working out for me in the end. And that's one of the problems of the game. It's just, partly, it doesn't teach you very well, which the game does have private matches. The first thing I tried to do when I signed into this game was, wow, they have private matches? That's awesome. I'm going to go to a private match. I'm going to walk around Camp Crystal Lake. Keep in mind that, like I said, there are 3 different maps for you to play, so it's good to explore them and get an idea of where you're going and how to play the game as a whole. But you can't start a private game without having other people there. You need to invite people into your private game to even be able to play. And you can't customize your private game anyway. You can't have multiple Jasons, or you can't change up health, or you can't change the time limit, or change up really anything. You can change whether or not the minimap is going to rotate with you or not, but that's pretty much the only option you actually have. They took the time to actually give you an option to mute copyrighted music, which is a good idea. Like, they understand, especially as like a grassroots game developer, they understand that you need the support of live streamers and YouTubers for your game to be successful these days, or at least for most people, especially indie games. And so they gave us an option to mute copyrighted music, because if you don't know, like, the game itself, like I said, just like the movies, is really immersive. You can turn on radios and stuff like that, and you have, like, music from back then actually playing in the background and stuff like that, which can distract Jason or just add to the immersion of the game. But if you're a YouTuber or a streamer, you can't have Alice Cooper, playing songs in your video, so they give you an option to replace that music, which is good. But they did not give you an option to adjust your brightness in a game that is otherwise nearly pitch black in a lot of situations. Now, for the sake of it, I mean, in this video, I have been color correcting the gameplay so you guys can actually see and make the video actually watchable most of the time. But if I turn that off, you're going to notice that, especially once you get out in the woods, you can't see anything. Like, you're running into trees and stuff like that constantly. Now, I understand, and this is like the comeback for a lot. Let's face it, most games have fanboys that will defend the game no matter what. I am as big a Friday the 13th fan as anybody out there, but even I can critique a game. If I paid for something, or if any of us pay for something, it is therefore able to be criticized. That's what critique is for. Even I can say the game itself is too freaking dark. I understand that maybe the vision of the developer was to have a really spooky environment, and by, increasing your brightness, it won't be as scary. But a lot of the time, depending on your monitor or your setup, you just can't see when you're like running through the woods and stuff like that. And so you have to adjust the brightness of your monitor or your television just to be able to play this game, because they don't have an option in game to adjust your brightness, which is... that's an issue, right? That's a problem. So hopefully that gets sorted out in the future. They are being pretty transparent on social media, letting us know that patches and updates are actually coming and stuff like that, which is, it's frustrating to me as a fan, especially as somebody who backed this. Like I said, this game was backed via Kickstarter. I paid the $75. I was at backer tier so I can get a physical copy of the game. I paid $75 for the game, and I'm barely able to actually play it because it released in such an incomplete state. And that's saying something, considering the game was initially supposed to release in fall of 2016. Well, it's pretty much summer 2017 at this point, and the game itself is still in like such a bad state. I get that the development studio is very small. It's like a team of 12 that made this game, but still, I think it's fair to be disappointed when stuff like this happens, right? In fact, I got a physical copy of the game. At least that's why I backed on Kickstarter, but for some reason they can't make physical copies right now. So they sent me a digital code, and apparently a physical copy will come eventually or something like that. Like, I really feel for this team. It's a small team of people, passionate fans of the movie franchise that want to make a game, and I think the game is very good. It is a very good game underneath all of its bugs and issues and problems. The biggest ones right now, for me personally, if they can just sort out the matchmaking, if that gets sorted out, the game, most of the problems of the game can be ignored until they eventually get fixed. Minor texture glitches or not being able to get into a boat or stuff like that. Like, that stuff can be sorted out, I think. The sheer issue to me with Friday the 13th, and this sounds so bad, and if anyone at the Friday the 13th studio at Gun Media or whatever, if any of you guys, Zolphonic, if you guys catch this video, it hurts me how much time I've wasted on the game. And I know it's not as if these game developers want their game to be bad. They're not trying to make a quick buck or anything like that. They just want this game to work well and run smooth and for everybody to be happy. I get that. But I've honestly wasted a bunch of time on this game. Not saying that the game is bad, that I didn't enjoy my time when I'm in there. I enjoy the game when I can play it. Most of the time, I'm just searching for matches. I don't want to harp on it too much because I've already talked about, how much time I have played versus how many games I've actually played. But that's really the biggest issue for me is I'll spend 10 minutes searching for a match, eventually get into a peer-to-peer hosted lobby, wait through 3-5 minutes for that lobby to fill, let the game load, then have it disconnect. I've wasted roughly, 20 minutes almost at that point trying to find a match that never actually happened. Then you search another 10 minutes, and before you know it, I've been searching for 30 minutes, and I've played maybe 2 before my match disconnected, right? I ended up wasting so much time on this game, which is a big shame because when I do actually get in and I can actually play, it's pretty awesome. So my suggestions are to, one, sort out the servers or whatever's going on with the connection, the peer-to-peer hosting system or the servers, whatever it is. The game itself is wasting people's time. That's the biggest sin for a video game. For a lot of people, I think, is for the game to just simply waste your time. To spend 30 minutes and not have actually played anything. That's a real big problem if you ask me. So hopefully that gets sorted out. Once that's fixed, it's all the small things, right? Making it so private matches can be played solo. It allows players to learn the game at their own pace and explore the map and get a feel for how it actually works. Like, I don't know how to drive the car. I do know that if I have the keys, I'm the person that has to drive it, and we're gonna die. I know we're gonna die because I don't know how to drive a car in this game, and if I have the keys and we actually get the car started and it's time to escape, I'm the one that has to take us. And it's just, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that because I have no way to actually practice with the car. I don't know how to, practice as Jason. I can't, run around the camp and get a feel for where things are. Private matches need to be a thing. That is one of the things that Call of Duty does so well that no other game can seem to emulate for some reason. That's a big one for me personally. The other tips I would give everyone working on this game would be to just make things more clear. When you first start playing, it's hard to even understand what's going on, how you are playing, what buttons do what. You can go look at the controller mappings and stuff like that, but nothing is really as intuitive as maybe it should be. So that is another thing I would actually work on. And if you get those things fixed, man, this game has the potential to be absolutely incredible. I can't devote much more time to it. I say much more because I know I'm going to continue to try to play because I love the series that much. I'm not trying to be some critical douche or anything here in this video. I freaking love the movie franchise, and I think at a fundamental level, the game itself is good and is going to be awesome. But right now, it's a $40 game that I personally paid $75 for. That is just a giant time vampire that makes you wait in line. It's like waiting in line at like Six Flags or something like that. You know the ride is going to be good once you get there, but you have to wait really, really long to be able to actually be able to ride the ride, which may work for theme parks. It doesn't work for video games. So those are my thoughts and feelings on Friday the 13th, the game. I do have high hopes for it. I hope that they do something to repay fans for the terrible, terrible launch the game has actually had so far, whether that's a free skin or double XP, or I don't know what it could be. There is a rank up system, which is awesome, and all the little things. Maybe I'm just a progressionist, but I like games like this where I board up a window. You board up a door. You fortify a door. You get 5 points for that, and it's like, yeah, I'm leveling up. I'm contributing experience. I like little stuff like that. So hopefully they can repay fans in some respect for the terrible, terrible launch of the game. Hopefully the servers actually get fixed so it doesn't take you 15, 20 minutes to even be able to play a game just to have it disconnect on you. And hopefully the game itself just continues to improve over time, because I know it has a big backing. I mean, they're working with YouTubers. I think H2O Delirious has been working with them so much that he actually has his own tombstone on one of the maps. Like, they're working with YouTubers, they're working with streamers. The game has a push, but the problem is it just doesn't work. And so if you miss that initial push, the game itself may not actually work out in the long run. So hopefully it gets fixed soon. Hopefully it gets another push. And hopefully it just becomes one of those games that we can play with friends, have some fun, and it becomes the Friday the 13th game that we've always wanted. Because keep in mind, there's never been a good Friday the 13th game ever. You're going back to like the Super Nintendo if you want to talk about Friday the 13th video games here. So hopefully it works out in the long run. Those are my thoughts on the game. I hope you guys will enjoy this video. Let me know your thoughts down there in the comment section below. And I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.
They deserve to die, Jason. Make them suffer.